ratchet knob. Do you need one? Let's find out. So this is a company called Ratchet Knob that makes these knobs that go on the Milwaukee Ratchets. They also have a product that goes on the snap-on Ratchets as well. And you may have seen these before. In fact, you may have seen them on my channel because we've already kind of reviewed these. There's not a lot to review on it, but we just kind of bring them to you. And in fact, it was quite a hit, especially on social media. It garnered, I believe, several million views. Anyway, and right here, why we're bringing them to you again is because we already have a Gen 2. And if you look really close, you probably still won't be able to see the difference between the Gen 2 and the Gen 1 of the ratchet knobs. So why do I bring these to you when it's only been maybe a few months or several months since we brought them to you the first time? It's because this is a small company that released something. You know, they took a chance, they saw a need, they released something. Then not only that, not only did they not just stand on what they had that worked pretty good, they listened to feedback off of maybe some frustrating points that some people had, and they came out and were willing to go back to the drawing board and release version 2. And again, as you can see, which I'll just tell you right now, this is version 1 over here. And by the way, they make them for the M12 fuel ratchet. So the larger heads, so kind of the Gen 1 of the fuels, if you will, or the larger head model of them, will be the MW1, and the MW2 will be for the smaller head ratchets. So pretty easy to tell that. Again, these are only for the M12 models. The first generation of the M12 ratchets that were not fuel, these will not work with those. These are only specifically for the M12 fuel ratchets. And again, if you have the large head, go with the MW1 model. The smaller head, you're going to go with the MW2 model. And they can help you out on the website doing that. And then with the snap-on, again, they have help on the website to point you in that direction. But anyway, I have several different models of M12 fuel ratchets here. And we're going to show you the ratchet knob and show you the differences, even though they're not easy to spot. In fact, I pulled them out of the package and was like, what in the world is different? And then I kind of dove in and could tell. But I still marked our two old ones. I wrote an O on there for old. And then on the black one, I put a little red paint dot on there so I would know that that's our old ones and these are our new ones. But again, after diving in, I can kind of tell the difference. So let's first put these on and see how they function if you haven't seen them already. So this again is for the smaller head. 2 earth magnets right there, so really strong magnets. And this is pretty easy to do. However, on the Gen 2 model, a little bit different. So you're just basically going to put it on there and you can kind of turn it until it kind of sinks in. And you'll tell that when it gets in the gap in line with that. There we go. And so now it's still sitting a little proud, and we actually have to push that in. So that's on the old version. So I'm going to take pretty much the same ratchet, and this is the old version. That's the new version. And here's the old one here. And once it finds its groove, it just kind of falls down in place. There we go. I didn't have to push that at all. So my point being here is that there's a little more play in this one. You can see I'm not actually switching gears, but there's that much slop in this. And not only that, you could bump this and actually knock it off. So that was, I think, one of the problems was as they were spinning it and you're under a car hood or something like that, you hit something and it kind of knocked that off, and then you're looking for your ratchet knob. And that's, I can understand, can be kind of a pain. But the ease of this is the ability to change directions without having to reach in and actually turn that. You can see with one finger, I can switch directions, no problem at all. But again, on Generation 1, the heads come off pretty easy, or the ratchet knobs come off pretty easy. Now, if we'll take a closer look at this one here, and let's do that. Let's dive in and take a closer look. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take it off of this one, and you can see even with my fingernail, that kind of hurts. So I'm going to take a screwdriver and kind of pop that off. And if you'll look here, we have an O-ring that's actually in that raised section. So it's giving you a lot tighter fit. Also, if you look at the valley here, if you look at the valley along here, this is a little bit thinner here than on this one. So as we had a little bit of slop on this, we don't have hardly any slop on this one here. So it's fitting tighter. as well as that O-ring around both of these islands here, allow that to fit tightly into this ratchet. So again, find its groove, and you can still see that it's kind of sitting up right there, but if you push that down, then that's going to sit nice and tight, and no matter how hard you bump that, it's probably not going to come off. And again, you still have the ability to one finger change directions on this. Now on the larger one, I didn't see much difference on this one. There's not an O-ring on here because there's not as much of a recession in these heads to actually sit these down in there and provide a ring or an O-ring. But one thing I did notice is what I'm calling kind of the dog bone area here. This area right here where you can see there's more of a dog bone shape here rather than just kind of a curve. So you can see on those two, there's still a difference, more pronounced dog bone there, and I think still a little thinner there in the valley to, again, eliminate more of the slop, if you will, in these ratchet knobs. So here's one here, and that's version 1, and you can see a good amount of slop there. I'm calling it slop. I hope you understand me here. And then even back and forth kind of along that groove a little bit. Now, with this one, I don't see as much of a pronounced difference. I'm saying that, but looks like the tolerances are a little bit closer here. So there, that falls into place. So yeah, maybe a little bit of, yeah, there is. A little bit less movement. There's version 1, there's version 2, and I don't know, probably about the same amount, maybe a little less there. So again, trying to eliminate some of that slop, and their prices didn't get any higher. These things are like 15 bucks, I think, on their website. So not an expensive thing to have, and especially the ability to easily one finger to make changes. Now, I will say, on something that, you know, all these ratchets, I know you're going to make fun of me that they look, you know, too polished, too pristine. But if you've got one that's actually been used, then you'll definitely get some grease in here. And so you want to come in here with a little pick or a little screwdriver and make sure, in fact, they tell you on the instructions, clean out any grease and grime, and just to make sure you've got everything, because the tolerance is a lot closer on these. So maybe even blow out with some compressed air. So once you get that groove cleaned out, then you can take that version 2 and find the groove. And again, you see that it's still kind of a little proud there. So you're sticking up just a little bit there, especially on this side, still sticking up. So I can press that in. And so now that fits nice and tight. Still needs to go down a little bit. There we go. So easily shift directions, but still get that better, tighter tolerance, better fit on these ratchet knobs. This is not a paid bit at all. They did send these to me, but again, I love to see small companies making an effort to provide a solution for people, and not only that, to try to make their own product better. So very happy to share that information with you. So again, I think these things are 15 bucks a piece, so we'll have a link in the description if you're interested.